Welcome back to the Lift Free and Diet Hard podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Coates. Join me along with industry leaders and friends on a quest to get more people through the gym door and eating and living healthier. Join me where evidence meets empathy while rejecting fitness industry fads and extremism. Let's begin. Mike Doehla, founder of Stronger You, now retired dad. Welcome back, my friend. It's great to have you.
What's up, man? I'm happy to be here. I love talking to you. You're one of my favorite people. So,
Well, this is about you today, so I'm actually going to pick your brain on a bunch of stuff, and I'm going right into it. This will be the fun. This is the hook. This is the bait for people. You sent me a bunch of ideas, so here. Why do you advise people not to choose a quote branded diet like keto, carnivore, vegan?
well, I think a lot of these branded diets have philosophies and ideals based in nonsense and restriction that people don't need to worry about. I think they put people in a bucket that no one wants to be in. For example, keto. If you look at the evidence, there's no reason most people should do keto. If you look at paleo and carnivore and all this stuff, they're trying to create villains and pretending they're the solution. They're selling people the problem and saying in the same breath, I'm the one that can fix it. And I think this nutrition stuff is so much simpler and can go so much wider than these guardrails that these people are creating. So, you know me, man, I hate it. Part of it is a little bit of jealousy, I think. And I think a lot of our Fit Pro friends don't want to admit that. The attention these things get when we sell or have sold, in my case, really good information, we wonder why, right? We know why people fall for this stuff. They want the magic bullet, they want the quick fix. They think that their issue is just something that no one solved before. But the reality is, we know how fat loss works, we know how health works, we know how to get people to do it. We just have to meet them where they are a little bit and also challenge them. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that we're facing as an industry is we forgot that we need to push people. You know, all the business advice out there is like, hey, I'm going to push you. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. I'm going to understand your challenges and concerns and your lifestyles. But the reality is, if you want to change, you need to do some hard stuff. And I worry a lot of times that many of our colleagues in the industry, most of which are outside of, our circles, are just being a little bit too coddling and a little bit too uh, soft, for lack of a better word. And I want people to think about that as coaches.
I want to come back to that one, but first, I like the way you presented about creating an enemy, and then got me thinking. I guess at first I thought, well, carnivore and vegan being kind of polar opposites in one sense,
Yeah.
probably they each think that they're Batman and that the other is Joker, but not really actually, because they probably both choose the same enemy, which is the standard North American Western diet, in a sense, ultra processed food in high amounts. So, do you think that's a really key component to having like framing, a villain, and maybe it's probably a straw man villain?
Yeah, because you have to have a very clear issue to sell people. So in these cases, it's on one side of the pendulum, it's meat and dairy products, animal products. On the other side, it's vegetables and fruit and things like that, which just I can hardly say that statement without laughing because it's so ridiculous, that diet. But yeah, that's it, because everyone is looking for what the issue is rather than like, wait, what type of lifestyle am I living? And that's like I always say, like everyone thinks like health comes down to what you put in your mouth. And my statement is health is not what you put in your mouth, it's how you live your life. Putting certain things in your mouth obviously influences that. But you need to look at the lifestyle if you want to get more fit and healthy, not just pick a particular branded diet.
That makes sense. Okay, so the coddling thing. I kind of have a theory, and this one, I don't think this will get me in trouble, but I've said this at a lot of podcasts. I think that our industry is an attractive place for a lot of people to enter because low barriers to enter. And I don't vilify that directly because I myself got in because I was able to do a weekend certification after years of experience. So I think there's a lot of elitism, and I think a lot of the complaining about needing regulation probably has more to do with, hey, there's that influencer that has nothing to do with me that I'm mad about, has a lot of followers that I don't understand. I'm struggling in my business. If I could somehow campaign to get all of the world's governments, all of the social media platforms to basically ban that person legally and regulate them out of the industry, then somehow I'm entitled to all of the customers. No, those people don't know who the fuck you are because you suck at media and your own business, right? So I think that's where it's coming from. Now, let's pivot this to the help to the end user. I also think that there are people, and I will characterize some of them as grifters. I think some of them are activists, and they exist on both sides of the socio-political spectrum. And they enter our industry, and they actually like put a lot of their whole brand is really socio-ideological, political. But then they throw that into the fitness industry, and it manifests on one side, and I don't like this super extreme, where they'll say things like, well, there's no relationship between your long-term level of adiposity and your metabolic health risks, right?
Yep.
And those people I find are really dangerous, problematic ideologues. And I find that, and I want to share this with people so they can identify why these people are a danger. They tend to be status seeking and they want people to worship them within sort of a status bubble, as opposed to, I think, actually have your best interest long term at heart. And I think it goes to what you said about coddling. Is that part of it?
Yes, and I think I'm glad you brought this up because I have a lot of thoughts and theories that I could basically see someone's social media posts and their ideals and know where they lie on the political spectrum. For example, the far right is you can do it if you try. Luck isn't a thing. Just work hard. Weight loss drugs are cheating. Meanwhile, they're on steroids, blah, blah, blah. So the other side, the far left is like everyone is great. Everyone can be healthy. You shouldn't post the bodies. You shouldn't talk about weight. And I think that too many of our industry colleagues are now afraid to talk about what the customers want, which is they want to look better, they want to feel better. Because, like, let's be real, the world is rewarding certain types of people. It just is. Like, so I think there's a lot of people that whether that's a right thing or a wrong thing is irrelevant because everyone still wants to make the version of themselves a little bit more fit because they know when they leave the house, they are less judged. They're prone to more mating opportunities. They are prone to promotions at work, and everything is a little bit easier in life when you meet the standard definition of attractiveness. It's just kind of how it is. And you have people that are now afraid to talk about weighing food, which is so freaking helpful. And I talk to people about this all the time. And I feel like I was a little worried to talk about how important it was because I was getting pushback. I could be blacklisted from some colleague who thinks that tracking is bad when I have more evidence than almost anyone in this industry that it is not bad. And I'm even afraid to talk like that because I don't want to be judged as like arrogant. But like I'm not, I really try not to be. I just want people to realize that like who is influencing you as a coach or consumer to follow a certain thing? Is it all your colleagues that you might see once every 3 years? Possibly. But like who struggles when you listen to everyone else? The customer, the person we try to help, their biggest issue, in my opinion, is a lack of information. They don't know what they're doing. How many people came across my digital doorstep and said, I'm eating healthy and I just can't lose these 40 pounds? And I'm like, okay, well, the issue clearly is you're doing something you're not aware of, tracking food, measuring things, maybe weighing yourself will show you the reality. And I was talking to Derek Stanley about this today, and I was like, no one wants to run through this fire. They just want to crawl through it and they struggle longer. Why not just face the music, face the reality, get uncomfortable and say, oh shit, man, I was actually eating a lot more than I thought. I was snacking. I am drinking alcohol, and maybe I should address that problem. But no, everybody wants to be like, ah, you don't need to track. You just need to eat protein and fiber. It's like, okay, that's just another version of a clean diet that never worked for these people, which led them to your coaching. So get them to do the thing that we know is going to help, which is identify their fucking issue. But everybody is scared of that because they don't want to offend someone or make one of their industry colleague like heroes think that they're doing something wrong. And it's like, it's just exhausting now.
Something in there you said, and this one always bothers me. You get people who are genuinely uncomfortable with or unhappy with their body image. They're uncomfortable with their they they know they either feel that their metabolic health is struggling, they have the doctor telling them, and the doctors are even afraid now to say certain things to them.
Yeah.
They know that they're overweight in a way that they don't want, and we have people telling them, no, 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 you should. And I honestly think we need more empathy because, like, one
Right.
side of that spectrum, a lot of shame-based stuff, I think, can be very toxic, and I think that we know that stuff discourages access for people to
Right.
change. But I don't think fully the other way is the answer either, and being afraid to talk about the fact that there is a very, very long-standing and deep relationship between excess adiposity and feeling terrible, declining metabolic health, long-term serious, bad outcomes, and just your not only is your like health span diminished, but the or sorry not only does your longevity potentially diminish, but the quality of your life there does. And I think most people intuitively or actually like feel it and they know it. And I don't think the message is no, 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 like just love yourself the way you are. You're fine. You're healthy. And I think to tell those
Yeah.
people that they're actually healthy is a dangerous lie. But the answer is not also be like screaming at everybody, hey, you need to lose weight or shame anyone. That's not it. But
Right.
I think your message is we have to actually get comfortable being honest about what's really going on. And I think providing solutions and evidence-based resources to help those people and support, not band-aid gimmicks. So let's go back to the whole diet thing. How do these branded diets actually create barriers to people's success?
They make it harder to succeed. They make it all or nothing. They make it so the diet and the rules of the diet are an on-off switch rather than a dimmer switch. There's people that anytime they go off the diet, so for example, just choose keto. If they eat like a bag of gummy bears, they're like, "Well, I blew it. My diet is over. Might as well just stop." And on, methods like I'm a fan of, which is like, eating the right amount of calories for your energy demands, you can work that stuff in. So there's no rule per se. Yeah, it might be silly to eat a bag of gummy bears, but you're still technically on the diet. Even that word is like a scary word today, right? Diet. So it just makes it makes it impossible to follow. So no one even tries after they trip a little bit on the sidewalk.
I actually think one of the most important skills, and I want to hear your thoughts on how to get people better at this, is is not to try to create perfectionism, but to get people to reduce the severity, the frequency, and the duration of these off modes, these binges, whether it's clinical or subclinical, right? And obviously, dealing with genuine eating disorders, that's outside of our scope, but subclinically, it still manifests. How do we get people to get back faster?
We use what I am such a fan of is the analogy. My buddy Jason Falcon, I think he created this analogy. He's like, if you stumble down 3 steps, are you going to jump down the whole flight? Or the analogy about the pop tire. You get one pop tire, are you going to like get out and change it, or are you going to slash all the tires? So what I think we were good at was like just like making people realize that not feeling stupid about their decision making, but letting them know that like what you just did doesn't really make sense, and I'm gonna reveal why. So I think you just have to make these people understand that what you did is not that big of a deal. 200 calories over is not 2000. It is very easy to get back on board. And there's a lot of people, you as coaches, we have to identify where these issues happen. So like if somebody has an issue at breakfast, that's why I was such a big fan of like connectivity to clients, because if my client messed up at breakfast, I can help them do well the rest of the day. If you're a coach that doesn't give access to yourself to your clients, that client, you might not know about that messed up breakfast till until 4 more days. And then what happens? They have a messed up breakfast, they mess up the whole day. Then the next day, the next day, the next day, oh, check-ins here. I'm going to tell my coach I had a terrible week. It's like, man, you could have just followed up with your coach at that moment and they could have helped you get back on the bus. And I'm using all these words and I'm thinking as I'm saying them, I'm like, someone is going to rip me apart by saying, or for saying messed up, back on the bus, diet. And I'm like, I'm just so over that. Like I'm so over tiptoeing on every one of my words to, I guess, appeal to all the colleagues that are doing something a little different. You know what I mean?
And
It's so hard to try to be perfect in this current landscape.
And there's obviously lessons here for coaches, and let's reframe it into the end user. If you are looking for a coach or have a coaching experience, I'm going to put this in a presentation. I'll be at Raise the Bar Dallas, February 21st, 22nd. Guys listening, you want to come, let me know. Message me, give it a plug. It's a great event. But I'm actually going to use you as the example of this. And I think too many coaches are trying to go into that like scale and systemize themselves out of an actual real human relationship with people. Whereas I tell my clients, like, here's my cell number. You encourage the same. Message me in real time. So just as you explained, one of my guys, I've worked with him on and off for years, and he knows who he is if he's listening. He's probably listening, and he has been doing amazing. He's lost a bunch of weight. He's strong. He's been consistent, but little bumps along the way. So we talk our way through it. He knows he can message me in real time. He's sitting in a McDonald's and he's basically engaged in an act of sabotage that's related to old identity based stuff. But he messages me as he's at the McDonald's, right? And of course, I respond fairly quickly. We talk through it. And guess what? The rest of the day is salvage. He's funny because he already crushed the McDonald's, then texts me, right? But then the rest of the day, he's back on track. He's feeling good because he knows that I was there. So for the end user, if you are actually looking for a coach, I really encourage you guys to make sure you filter that your coaches are, and again, you're not going to always get people in real time, right? It's like I'm not going to wake up at the middle of the night and like respond to something. My phone is off all the time. But if your coach is actually like, if you trust that your coach is actually pretty responsive, guess what? It shows that your coach cares. And more, we're going to see coaches trying to get away from being that interactive. So I encourage you guys go towards coaches who actually are accessible within a reasonable amount.
We need to go back. We need to go back to what I wanted to influence coaches to do. Everyone wants boundaries now. I'm like, fuck your boundaries, man. You didn't earn them yet. You have six clients and you're talking about boundaries. You can't answer someone. I see you on Instagram posting and commenting and thinking that the future potential client is 10 times more important than your current client, which is the one who's actually going to build your business. So everyone asks me all these like business advice tips, and I'm like, I serve people well, I got them results. Like everything else was sprinkles on the top. It wasn't the business cards and books and Barnes and Noble. It was that our clients were taken care of, and we built a culture that made them all feel special to share their work with other people. And that's, I think these coaches are out there, and the clients, they need this. They need someone that they can talk to, not just get a plan and then feel like they're on their own. And that's what I think a lot of the industry does accidentally because they don't know any better. Because they may have, like you and I, if we get a coach, okay, cool, I'll talk to you next week. That's fine. I don't need to talk to you at Tuesday afternoon. I don't need that. So we think that we project our needs onto the client and we're like, wait, why are they texting me at 2? Or why did they pay me money and not listen? Well, because they struggle. They exist on your roster because they had challenges. You have to find out what those challenges are, and you need experience. And you can like talk to people like you and myself. We have experience. We have seen every single situation 100 times, 1,000 times. So like ask us. And even clients, like random people who struggle with food, message me on Instagram, ask me your problem. I will give you an answer.
You and I respond to stuff, right? And there's a reason why we are where
Yeah.
we are. Okay,
I got
next
nothing
thing.
else to do.
Fair, except hang out with your kids. Okay, why is it important people get clear on why they're doing all of this? You know, health, looks, performance, and you alluded to this stuff earlier. Is like I think we've had a little bit too much messaging about how it's not okay to do this for your vanity. It's not okay to do this for looks or what have you, or to even get leaner.
Yeah, I
Thoughts?
mean, it's everyone has a certain reason, whether it's health or playing with your kids on the floor or looking better because you think you're going to be more attractive, which, you might be. So I think it's important to know why you're doing it. I think there are a lot of people that go a little bit too far. Like we talked about offline, people get abs and then they're like, "Oh, wait, what?" Because they think it's like getting $1 million. It's like people don't want $1 million, they want to spend $1 million. So it's like you don't want to do anything to keep the abs. You just want the reward of having them, which you learn is nothing but a few likes on Instagram. Maybe you get in such good shape because you want to be a coach in the industry, and then you are in such good shape that you intimidate every potential customer because you look unrelatable. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll touch on that. I recently on my Instagram story, I said how, and I posted the photo. I post these two photos. It was me at the gym now, and the photo that I used as my profile photo for like 3 years. And the profile photo is very innocuous. It makes me look smaller, the angle or what have you. And I deliberately did that and actually had a very profound effect, I think, on attracting a very broad general audience versus like the brohards. And the reality and then of course, anytime anyone's ever met me in my travels, are like, oh my God, you're enormous. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
but I did that deliberately because I didn't want to actually market off of physique. Now, guess what? People walk up to me in the gym and they want to train with me because, I'm in shape. All good. It works. I'm sorry. Like, coaches are offended by shit like that. Guess what? Like, trust me, people do care about this sort of thing. Not all, but a lot of them do, right? It will help you. Um, but either way, like, I've literally done that and I've seen it work.
It's true. And that was my best friend Mike, who was our COO at Strong Review, was like, I think he's like, don't take this the wrong way, but I think because you're not jacked and like super lean, you're much more approachable. Like the the 35 to 50-year-old women who probably made up most of our clients, they don't think that or let me reword that. They know I know what they're going through. They know, like, I'm not just this, I don't give a crap, go to the gym person. Your kids are crying, I don't care. You fed them mac and cheese and you finished the box. Like, how could you do that? Like, I wasn't like that. I understood the challenges. And I think, and to be quite honest, I think a lot of people in a certain body type who are the super jacked gym type for decades, live, breathe, and eat that stuff, they don't know the average struggle of people, which is why many of them are so anti weight loss drugs because they think it's just like the easier way out. It's like, okay, maybe it is. This shit sucks. It's hard. People have busy lives. Why do you care? Oh, because you worked hard, so you don't like it when people get what you got a little bit easier. No,
I,
yeah,
you're 100% right about that. I think it threatens what they think gives them status. And touch on this a little bit. There's a recent episode with Dr. Crystal Guevara. It was all about Ozempic related stuff. Guys, go back, check that out. You'll love it. I think you hit on something there.
yeah, I'm a fan of it. I think that's the biggest thing. I think it's why people don't like kids who inherit money. I think,
Hmm.
oh, these kids have to, be self-made. It's like, what? Well, okay. You have to ask yourself, why are you threatened by that? And then it's like such a weird trope where people are like, oh, these trust fund kids. It's like, well, you only hear about the shitheads. You don't hear about the good kids that got inheritance. You know what I mean? Like, or the lottery winners that people don't want that. They want this, they want the struggle.
Why does support matter from the people around you?
The influences around you are everything. It's like the old saying, like you're the average of the five people you spend the most time with. Like whether that's literally true or figuratively true, doesn't matter. We do know that people are influenced by those around them. So, for example, if I had a client that was, I don't know, 40-year-old woman, 140 pounds, wanted to lean out a little bit, had a husband that was, say, 6'3", 260. Do you know how many calories that dude can eat and not gain fat? So these people go out, they get drinks, they get appetizers, they get meals, they both finish them. What is it for the woman? It's 200% of her daily caloric allotment. For him, what is it? 67%. So these people in your circle, whether it's your partners, your coworkers, your friends, your kids, they need to have your back for whatever your fitness and health goal is. Because if not, you're going to bubble up to whatever the worst thing is, right? Like you have a gym buddy that's like, hey, let's go to the gym today. You're there. You have a gym buddy that says, hey, I'm not feeling it today. You want to go get wings? It's going to be really hard to say no to the wings. It's just human nature to skip the hard thing and to do the more pleasurable thing, right? Whether it's biology, evolution, whatever. And the support in your house and your home and where you work, everything, it's so much. And we used to see this all the time where mostly the women, because the dudes were, bigger and potentially more active, they would accidentally or purposefully sabotage their partner. So you need to have these conversations. You need to talk to your partner and your coworkers and your friends and say, like, hey, this is really important to me. Do you think you could support me? And don't let them come up with the ideas how to support you. You have to think about the ideas because it's not necessarily their job to figure out how to do that. rather than to figure out how to support what your needs are. Like no one wants to be the mind reader. So like if you're trying to get in shape and your husband is sabotaging, you have to have that conversation.
There's something I've seen a lot that's popped up. I want your thoughts, where one spouse or partner in a relationship has made it clear they want to get healthier. Maybe weight loss is part of that. They want to get metabolically healthier. But then the other one will bring them treats, either proactively or reactively, because there's some sort of reinforcement there. The partner does not want to say no. So what do you say to, maybe it's, let's use example, it's the woman who has the fitness goal and it's the man who is enabling it by doing this. What do you say to the woman who has to set the boundary because she may be sending mixed signals? And what do you say to the guy about being able to actually say no when maybe she's asking?
Yeah, that can be incredibly difficult because you don't want to start a war in a household that you're not living in.
Uh,
It's like you kind of like, and this is the funny thing about working in the fitness industry, you start to like cross over into all these other like realms. Like everybody gets into the field thinking they're just going to talk about weights and cardio and food, and it's like, no, you're relationship advice now. So I think it's just relating, talking to the woman in this situation about how to not offend the husband because the husband is doing something probably out of love. Like, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to give you something you love, blah, blah, blah. So I think it's like it can be done over time. Like, you don't have to say, honey, babe, whatever you call your significant other, don't bring me that ice cream, idiot. You know, I'm on this diet, whatever. It's like, hey, do you think you could get a smaller portion next time? Or maybe we can go out for ice cream rather than bringing the half gallon home. And then maybe you just have a little bit, and then you start to wean off, and then you start to do other things rather than food rewards. And for him, he has to talk to his wife and ask, like, what kind of support do you need that I can offer on your journey? Is it, can we do a workout class together? Hey, can I sign up for that coach also? We would see that all the time. Someone maybe would want to gain muscle and the other one wanted to lose fat. And it's like you can probably eat similar meals. You're just going to have a lot more of it. But it's stuff like that, man. They have to meet in the middle somewhere. And like, I don't want people to completely ruin their relationship over a diet because a lot of it is, as much as our Fit Pro friends don't want to acknowledge, like food is awesome. It's fun. There are benefits to alcohol in life. It's like just, someone can try to drag me for that comment, but I'll challenge them and say, well, how did you meet your significant other? Oh, you met them at a bar after a few drinks? Tell me there's no benefits. Like social lubricant, it is a thing. So I don't want to take all that away from people, but I also want these couples to communicate or these friend groups to communicate or coworkers. And the coworker thing is hard because sometimes it's your boss, and that's potentially ruining your promotion because of a beer. Like maybe you have it. It's not always, the answer isn't always no.
what about actual sabotage, whether potentially intentional or unintentional? How do you recognize
Yes.
it and how do you push back against sabotage?
So I'm going to say something that's going to make people feel uncomfortable.
Mm.
I think a lot of times people realize they married the wrong person after they decided to get healthier. And what I mean by that is you thought you had a supportive partner, but after maybe, I don't know, 10, 20 years, maybe you gain some weight, you're a little unhealthy, you want to lose it. And then that person gets a little resentful. They get jealous. Oh, wow, she's losing weight. She's getting attention. Uh, she's going to leave me. And it's like, well, maybe not. Like, so they start to try to pull back, skip the gym, have the ice cream, watch this movie with me. Don't go for the run. Oh, it's a little cold out. Don't you want to stay inside? Like this stuff happens. So I am not a relationship counselor, obviously, but I do have common sense and I do have experience seeing this. So try not to do that. Like they're probably not going to run away from you if they lose 30 pounds. Like why are people so insecure and so territorial over things? Maybe if you're thinking of sabotaging someone, you get your shit together and you do it together because there's no better evidence of healthy children than parents who pay attention to their own health. That's what I'll say about that. Everyone that wants advice about how to have healthy kids and eat well, it starts from you. It's extremely hard to do in this day and age because of jobs and biology and just the deliciousness of everything all around us. But that is one of the biggest concerns that I have as a father of two young girls is mommy and daddy pay very close attention to health. And I think unless we have little rebels, like they're going to be okay, which they'll be rebellious about certain things. Don't get me wrong, but they're going to grow up around activity and eating pretty well.
What do you think of in the modern world with an overabundance of hyperpalatable food, marketing, dopaminergic stimulus of every kind, all this? You get these people who make this sort of false dichotomy about look at these pictures of people on the beach in the 70s or the 20s, there's no fat people. And then now, right, they cherry pick some sort of image. It's like, okay, the world is different. So I think we
Yeah.
now have to voluntarily, we can no longer default to what our comfort and desires will us to. We can't do that. So how do you get people to buy into the fact that no, you actually have to set boundaries around the food that you're consuming and your activity level because we're also less active?
Yeah, that's where I got a lot of pushback from like the intuitive eaters and like all these types that are like, well, people just, they can learn to just eat. And I'm like, well, the current environment, which is if you look at the average person, is stressed the hell out. Most of their waking hours are spent either driving to work and driving to work or taking care of kids and all that annoying stuff. So they try to make things a little bit more convenient, which I understand. We all want a little bit more convenience in our lives. But when a world is overly stressed and there's, for a lot of people, not as much joy as they deserve in their life, they're going to get it from food. And it's like, it's one of those things that works instantaneously. You have a crappy day, you have some chocolate, you're like, oh man, this is good. This is sadly the best part of my day. So now we have to think of like, how are they not going to do that? Like it is no wonder. I don't know why people. I actually talked to a guy the other day after pickleball, which, everybody knows I love now. It's my new cult. He's like he couldn't understand how I created this business that sold that really just operated on basically getting people to eat fewer calories. Like when you distill it down, like we were really good at getting people to eat fewer calories than they used to. And maybe they slept better and moved more and all that fun stuff. But he couldn't understand it because he says it's common sense. And I said, yeah, but the problem is not the lack of knowledge in this case. It's the challenges and the just the world is set up not to make people healthy. So when someone says, "Oh, no, no one was fat in the 70s," it's like, well, there sure were. There were fewer of them, but there were there was more one person working families. So someone else was at home taking care of everything. There were fewer snacks, right? They're just the options we have now. There wasn't 5 apps on your phone where you could push a button and have any type of meal you want within 45 to an hour. There weren't all these streaming services. There weren't all these social services, social media services. So it's like it's a combination, right? We're sitting more than ever. More people are sitting at desks rather than doing active jobs. So it's like there's no like if someone said to me in the 70s, I wasn't around, but if you said to me in the 70s, hey, I want to make society as fat as possible, how can I do it? I would be like, here's how you do it. You get them to move less, you get them to eat more. Obviously, everyone gets weird about that comment, but it's like that's how it happens. How do we fix it? Like, I don't know. I think you work on an individual level with everyone and try to, obviously shine a light on the benefits of taking care of yourself and have the tactics and the strategies, but it's no wonder why this is happening. It's pretty damn clear.
I think it starts with realizing you have to be an active participant in shaping your environment, which is obviously a theme of this episode.
Yep.
You cannot passively be a little boat on the waves of the ocean with this one.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. It is very much an intentional pursuit. And people don't agree with me when I say this, but fitness and health probably should be a big part of your identity. I'm not talking about powerlifting and you get injured and your identity is at risk. Like I'm talking like I am a healthy person. These are the things I do to take care of myself. You have to be that. You cannot, like you said, you cannot be passive and just say, well, I think maybe tomorrow I'll just eat less accidentally. It's like, how? How are you going to do that?
I'll make a comment. You mentioned mindfulness, and I think mindfulness as a practice is a great thing to incorporate. But I also think that like intuitive eating great state to get to. I think it's actually kind of the ultimate state to arrive at, but I think it's kind of almost like enlightenment when it comes to certain types of religious philosophy. I do
Yep.
not think it's a starting point. I think it's something that you work towards with more active strategies. Because, yeah, if you, this is an oversimplification, but if you allow most of the population to eat and act intuitively, they will intuitively eat themselves into metabolic unhealth. That is
Right.
just our current
And
reality based
that's
on the environment.
there's the pushback is there's the branded intuitive eating and then the literal definition of intuition. When I talk about it, I think what you're doing now too is like your automatic feelings. Like, and that in this environment, you have been eating intuitively and look what happened. So let's eat more meaningfully.
And whether I don't think it's as nefarious as some people think, but out of, and I don't demonize profit-driven motive, but understanding that with these technology companies and these food marketing companies, the objective is to get you to consume, right? There's profit
Yeah.
incentive there. If you
That's
recognize that and
the
screaming about it and demanding the world change will not change it remotely fast enough to save you.
right.
This is the other thing that drives me crazy. It's like, no, you have to be an active participant in this effort. You cannot scream and wait for laws to change. I think there probably is some stuff that needs a change of the grand scheme, but guess what? You cannot be again that little boat on the ocean.
Yeah, well, if capitalism is if you're going against capitalism, you're probably going to get your ass kicked. Um, it just know it knows what you want. It knows what you want and knows how to get it to you. It knows how to make it cheap.
It's ultimately what the majority of people are actually demanding anyway. I mean, they wouldn't make it and try to sell it to you if people didn't on some level want it. So I think
Right.
that you have to get clear on this stuff, set some boundaries, be an active participant in your outcome, and decide, hey, this is important to me.
Yeah.
Okay, how can people set themselves up for success with planning and food preparation? Because this is going to be really tactical.
Yeah, so so I was actually talking to someone today and they were like we were talking about like what are the challenges for people? To me, one of the biggest things is like the intimidation factor. People are just like, "Oh my God, how do I plan?" And it's like that's why like if we're talking macros or tracking right now, like I go ahead.
I want to
You
say
look
something here.
Yep.
This drives me fucking crazy.
Yep.
The men's physique influencer, and I have lots of friends who are like men's physique. I'm just picking on them just because it's easier. The
Yep. Yep.
bikini girls, and they post up, and it's Sunday, and there's an entire counter full of what looks like about 36 meals, and they make a big performative display about how they spent the entire day doing this, and all it is like rice and chicken and maybe some broccoli or whatever. And it
Yep.
speaks right to what you just said. It's performative. It's like, look at how righteous and virtuous and wonderful I am. But guess what? Most people look at that and go, oh, I don't want to spend
I'm not
the
doing that.
only
Yeah.
day I actually sort of get a break in the kitchen doing this bullshit. And for food that looks so.
Oh, dude,
How,
I hope he listens to our buddy Blake out in Hawaii. He posted looking turkey, a
Blake
mixed.
Parado, shout him out, man. Blake is amazing. Yeah.
He's amazing, but I made fun of his meal because he posted like the driest looking ground turkey over rice, and I was like, "Does that have flavor?" Like, and that's the thing. Like his, like a client might see that and be like, "I don't want to eat that," but I'll roast him in his messages. But back to the whole the planning thing. Like, you don't have to have all these meals prepped. You ideally need to have proteins handy, so you should probably cook those, and you don't have to just cook them. You could buy like cut up cooked chicken already in like a package. You could buy a rotisserie chicken and just like pull it apart and throw it in Tupperware. You can buy the little microwave bags of rice. You could do the same with vegetables. So like planning is all about like thinking about, and I have like documents on the crap, but it's like think about like what are your total calories and macros potentially if you're tracking? How many meals a day do you want to eat? And this is all at the start. It's all a guess because you don't know how you're going to feel after you do this. So you just plan breakfast, lunch, dinner, and any snacks you have, which, as many people know, is I'm very anti-snack because I think they just lead to more unnecessary calories coming in the system. But you just plan your meals like that, and you think of what is my protein source, what is my carb source, what is my fat source. Okay, if you're using an app like Macros First or whatever to track, you look at these numbers and you say, "Oh crap, I'm way off on protein." And then these are like some of the most popular questions I come across online. People are like, "I need 30 grams of protein. What am I supposed to do?"
And my common sense meter is eat more of the protein you already have planned and cooked. So just increase the portion sizes. And this is a lot easier to see in real time rather than me explain it, but it is that simple. So if you have a certain number of calories or macros you need to eat, you plan it out the day before, which means you have to shop the days before, or better yet, don't even shop. Go on a grocery app and have it delivered. That way, you're not incentivized by fancy marketing and delicious looking pictures to buy all the stuff you don't need. And that's like one of my biggest tips is for grocery shopping, don't do it. Have it delivered to you because they're not accidentally going to give you donuts. They're not going to do that. But you might buy it if you show up. So that's what I think people need to do. They need to just adjust portion sizes up and down. They need to plan. They don't have to have all these elaborate meals. They probably shouldn't mess with all these complicated recipes because those are more variables. Every time you have another variable, it just means you might not be measuring or logging correctly. And I don't know, man. We got tens of thousands of people to do it who didn't want to do it, which is my way of saying that I think more coaches should push people to do the thing that uncovers the problem that they have, which is I have no fucking idea how much I eat. And here's how you do it.
What about when people don't want to eat what they prepped? What do you say to them?
That's totally fine. And I taught you how to pick another option that is a different food with similar calories and macros. So you bring, and this was always a great example because people would run out of the house and they would forget lunch. And I would say, okay, awesome. You need like 4 ounces of chicken. You could go to the Chinese restaurant and say steamed chicken and broccoli and estimate in that case. Like I don't want people to live with their scales, like their food scale, but I want them to get an idea of what this stuff is. So yeah, that happens. And also here's another response that isn't always well received. You don't have to love every meal you eat. That's okay. Like, okay, you prepped your chicken and rice and broccoli. It's going to take you 6 minutes to eat it. You want instant gratification? There you go. You just made the right choice. Don't you feel awesome? Now you're not stressed about something else. And this is another, like, we are too, as coaches, we are too open to just being like, oh, okay, client. Okay, I'll do what you say. And it's like, let's balance that out. And I say this as someone who had world-class customer service. Like I wasn't a jerk to people. They loved the system, right? So these people might not want that chicken. And I'd be like, okay, like, well, what if you ate it? How would you feel if you just ate it and got through it? Why is that controversial? Because I don't think people always want to squat the weight that's on the bar, but they'll go do it because if they don't, they're not going to get those results in their strength. I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of different options, but the to me the easiest option sometimes is just eat it, get through it. It's not going to be that delicious, but it's going to meet your goal.
I think there's something else here, and I've got an article on this. It's very popular if you guys want to read it. I think you get really clear on this. And you talk about how like delicious all this food is, but the reality is there's
Yeah.
an enormous amount of the stuff that's convenient, that's high calorie. It's actually really mediocre. It's actually not very good. There's lots of good stuff, but there's a lot of crap that I think people eat. And I always use the mall food court Chinese food thing. Like you're in some mall, you see this like, oh man, that looks good. And you're thinking about like the best Chinese food that you'll order. It's like $100 gets delivered, right? But you see this like 15.99 combo, chicken balls, rice, some other sort of thing. And years ago, I would always fall for it. And it was always awful. I would always feel terrible afterwards. It was mediocre as hell. And then I'm like, oh, I paid the money for that and I wasted those calories because you know it's high calorie stuff. And so I just got really clear on that. So I would proactively think every time I'm going in this environment, remember, like the mall Chinese food is terrible. If I'm going into the supermarket, it's a classic, like don't go into certain aisles. Like,
Right.
hey, I really like ketchup chips. I haven't had them in literally forever. I don't go into the aisle to even look at them. But I also remember that, like whoever's like eaten an entire full size family bag of ketchup chips. We've all done it, right? And the first quarter of it is fucking sensational. It's incredible, right? It should have probably just bought the Halloween size bag. Okay. And then like once you get into like the second half of the bag, it's totally worn off. It's a psychological, physiological phenomenon. And then you get down to 3 quarters, you're like, oh, this is where you feel really shitty.
And then you're
And
like, well, I'm almost there. I might as well
and
finish
most
up.
people will still finish off and feel dreadful. and it's kind of like getting really sick off of having a night of binge drinking, and they're like, oh, I'm never gonna, hangover, throw up, whatever, and I'm never gonna drink again. And then 2 weeks later, it's like full on again. I think we just have to remember, hey, wait a minute. This isn't very good. I don't feel very good when I do this. I drink less than I ever have now. And
Yeah.
in part because I realize like even like 2 drinks casually wrecks my sleep. I feel shitty next day and I work nonstop. So easier said than done, but it's just stuff that I hope people start thinking about. And I love it,
Dude,
all of your stuff.
yeah, all these little tactics. It's like the whole sunk cost fallacy. Someone's like, "Oh, I spent, I don't know, however much chips are these days, $7, $6. I gotta finish them." It's the thing with parents and the scraps that their kids leave. Oh, I paid for it. It's like, why do you need to eat it? Just pretend they ate it and throw it in the friggin' garbage.
Man, I put up a post some months ago about this very thing about like, hey, just because you
Yeah.
bought this food or whatever doesn't mean you have to finish it if it's like you're not enjoying it or whatever. And like there are people in the comments who were awful. And again,
Yeah.
it's the starving kids in Africa thing, which is sort of an absurd, I get it philosophically, but it's an
That was
absurd,
the thing that was like the thing our parents told us because it
yeah.
was such a thing like back in the day. And I'm not saying it's not now, but yeah, like I literally had a post just like that. I mean, probably 5 years ago at this point. And I literally said, if you cannot donate it, throw away your scraps or whatever. And someone says, you can donate it. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Like, why does everyone just skim a post and dive bomb the comments and run and yell? You didn't read what I said. So, okay.
People don't like nuance.
Yeah.
All right. But speaking of your social media, when you're motivated, your social media is fantastic. People can follow you at Mike Doehla, Doehla. And as someone who used to work at a casino in a past life, Dola was a common way of, saying dollar in the casino world. So Mike Dola and five
Yeah, I'll
Dola.
take it.
Uh, your stuff's great. And I know you're not actively working in the industry. You just kind of exist as this like philosophical Buddha about this stuff via media. But are there any resources you want to point people to?
Honestly, no. Like I don't have any resources to push right now. I think maybe one day in 89 days I could maybe work in the field again. I'll figure that out in the meantime.
We may figure something out for you, right? All right. You're the best. I really want everybody to go check out your stuff. You're a great friend. I will see you in our travels this year at some point. I know listeners, if you want me to keep bringing on great guests like Mike, I want to hear from you guys. Share this up in your stories. I'm gonna like you're supposed to do one call to action. I'm gonna give you a blitz, like whatever is easiest, but like go do something for me, okay? Either A, take this episode, put it in the hands of a friend you know will love it, who will enjoy Mike, right? Needs a little bit of like that tough, empathetic, evidence-based love, right? A little bit of tough love. Put this up in your story, share it, tag me. I will reshare it. It helps get the visibility of this. These episodes have been doing incredible. They've been really popping off. I love seeing that. Or give me a great review. Like, I think almost all my reviews are great. There was like one, and you guys are going to go look at it now. Just one awful human being. I know who it is. Just a person who's like obsessed and malevolent. It's just like, you gave me a negative review. Like, guess what? That's part of it. Like, we'll gravitate to negative reviews. Shit, it's a
But you
part of being
remember,
up.
you know what they say about the reviews. If you have nothing but 5-star reviews, people get skeptical. So
Yeah.
even a stronger you, we had a couple bad ones, and some of them were earned. We didn't
Every
do it right all the time.
every once in a while, someone gets really upset that I dare actually participate in a conversation with my friends as opposed to like speak 8 words at the start and let someone riff the entire time. Like, guess what? Go listen to something else. If this is not for you, go listen to something else. If you're here at the end of this and you're enjoying it, I want to hear from you. Help me get this in front of more people. You guys are the best. Blake Parado, big shout out to Blake out in Hawaii. He's incredible, great friend. I'll see you in our travels. I know he's listening. Thanks,
Even if
Mike.
he cooks dry ass chicken or turkey. Yeah.